Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. I'm reading what Facebook is trying to tell me here. It says you can show links. Okay, we're not going to worry about the links. I put those in my inside the comment of this live video. So I want to welcome you all today to RKT-LIFE Purpose Coaching First Live on my actual business page. I decided to kind of do things different and switch things over to there because I want to keep my personal page and the business page a little separate, but yet kind of cohesive, you know. So I'm going to start doing the lives on the business page. My name, to introduce to some and reintroduce to others, is Rosie K. Thompson, and I am the owner of RKT-LIFE Purpose Coaching. My website is Rosie, my name, R-O-S-I-E, with the letter K, and then Thompson.com. You can go on there and view more about me, the resources, and the different things that I offer to the community, which is comprised of individuals, institutions, churches, different speaking engagements that I am available for, and materials that I do have to offer, which comes in the content of my 4 amazing self-published books that I have written. And so you can get more familiar with me over there, okay? And then at the bottom of my website is the links to my other social media handles. And please go ahead and do a click, like, and a share on this video as well, and follow me on my other social sites as well. So today we are going to talk about purpose, okay? And in the form of purpose, I want to talk to you about what most people are today talking about: imposter syndrome. Some of you may or may not have experienced that. And you say imposter syndrome, what is that? It's like you're being fictitious, or you feel like you're not qualified to do what you're called to do, what you're gifted to do, what you're even aligned to do right now. So imposter syndrome shows up in different people for different ways. But here's one way I want to enlighten you and bring in you today, okay? So if you notice, the title of this live is The Cause of Feeling Useless While in Your Brokenness. I'll repeat that again. The cause of feeling useless while in your brokenness. We've all had a state of brokenness, and brokenness is going to feel different to different individuals and how we express what we feel in our brokenness. And I'm going to share with you what brokenness really is, what it really is and what it really looks like, and how you should embrace the brokenness, because brokenness is not a bad thing. Okay. Now, I don't know what brokenness means to other people, but I'm going to tell you, brokenness is a state of being redefined, reconstructed, rebuilt, okay, to greater purpose, to do things differently, okay. And that's what brokenness is. And I believe for any of us to get to a state of brokenness, there's some things that we have to be evaluated on. There are some things and aspects and part of our lives that we have to look at totally different. And in the process of looking at these things in these areas of our lives differently, that means some things are going to fade away, shed off, be taken away, be exposed, and be revealed. And this is part of brokenness. And then in the state of all of these changes that takes place within us humanly, but really the spirit man, okay? Because our spirit man is in operation. And how we feed our spirit man's determine how our fleshly woman shows up, okay? So in the state of brokenness, we discredit the state and the being of where we're at, and even what's taking place and what's going on inside of us. But it is a state of beauty. It really is, okay? So let's talk about this. So the cause of feeling useless while in your brokenness. Now, again, I'm just going to rephrase this a little bit. There are certain elements and beliefs that has to be shattered. Seriously, they have to be shattered. And when you think about glass dropping and breaking, being broken, it's being shattered, okay? So certain elements and beliefs that has to be shattered. They serve no purpose in the new places where God has you and has aligned you for. So there's no more need for those things. Did they serve a purpose at a certain particular time? Absolutely. At a junction in your life? Absolutely. I believe everything we've done, a lot of things that we've gone through, now some of them we could have escaped, but even those things, as we give them to God, his purpose, his greater purpose, and his glory can shine from those things and be added to our lives and the lives around us, and then the lives that are waiting on us to be impacted during our brokenness. But in the midst of where we're at right now, these things, these elements, they have to be shattered, okay? Now, they serve no purpose in the new place that God has aligned for you, for me, for us. And I'm going to give you a scripture here to back that up. Proverbs 19:21. Okay, so it states that many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that will prevail. So oftentimes we have a plan, and that's not to say that those plans are not doable, they're not workable, because listen, as humans, we can do anything we set our minds to, right? Yes, absolutely, we can, okay? But many are the plans in our heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that I want, that we want, or should want to prevail. To live life any other kind of way would be substandard to the way that God wants and desires us to live. So I don't want my plans that does not align with his plans to prevail. I want God's purpose to prevail in my life. And not only in my life, but as I'm functioning in my purpose, it will prevail and help others in their lives and in their purpose if they receive it well. So we're talking about brokenness, and this is a reason why we have to come to brokenness. And I'll state a little bit more. So believe it or not, brokenness was designed to work in our favor. Yes, it was. It was designed to work in our favor, because a state of brokenness is the only way that we could be humble, in a state of humility, to be able to receive, to be exalted, not for our benefit, but for the greater benefit, okay? And so we must humble ourselves, okay? So think of it this way. Most things in which we've accumulated and learned in life, excuse me, my nose is itching. Most things that we've accumulated and learned in life no longer serves our needs and purpose for us in our current state and condition of life. So what are you saying, Rosie? Time served. Simply time served, okay? Just like a sentencing that someone may have over their head that they must complete. They can't get out until that time is served. Now, sometimes good behavior will allow them to be exonerated. Time served. And guess what? God is in that as well. He can do things expediently, when he desires, when he feels we're ready. And this is why we got to start looking at the brokenness totally different, because if we're looking at it the way that most of us have looked at it and not understood it, then guess what? It's a complete time served that we need to make sure we serve well, and that's okay. But the better we learn about brokenness and the journey and the process, which I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, the time served, we can be exonerated. We can go forth because of good behavior. And what is good behavior? The character, the love, the nature of God, the essence of who we are. We allow that to come forth instead of feeling like imposters, or that our brokenness, we're not viable, we're useless, we don't have anything to do, we don't have anything to say, we don't have anything to give, we will not make an impact, we will not make a difference, no one will care. We got to get rid of that stinking thinking, because that's exactly what it is. It is words that are designed to work against us and not for us. And that happens in many ways, but all we got to do is renounce that, reverse that, and speak what is, and begin to believe what is about us, whose we are and who we are. Okay, so time served is a period to an end. It has served its purpose. Now, so how do we rid ourselves of those pieces and fragments of our lives? Okay, of what was. Some, they just come to an end. Have you ever been in a situation or a circumstance or even a relationship, and just all of a sudden it just came to an end? There was even a friendship. There was like, okay, what happened? How did that happen? When did that happen? Where was the buildup? And really there wasn't. But if we learn to look at things a little bit different, we'll understand that yes, it was. We just didn't get on board with it. We saw it coming, but we really didn't pay much attention to it. We really didn't focus on what we should have focused on as we needed to, because otherwise we would have saw, where it just come to an end. There has been things over the last 5 to 6 years where before it happened, I knew it was going to happen. I wasn't shocked by it. I wasn't moved by it, because I knew it was coming. Because many are the plans in a man's heart, Proverbs 19:21, but it is the Lord's purpose that will prevail. So sometimes we can look at things as being a bad thing, but no, that was all in the plan. God's plan, his purpose. So when we begin to understand these things, we're going to understand when some things, it's ran its course. Time was served. It comes to an end. And then some may erupt abruptly. Those are the things where I can say, whoo, Lord, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. An abrupt end, because we don't know what the other end would have looked like, or even what their end was, because many are their plans, what they had planned for us. Okay. So we're talking about how do we rid ourselves of certain pieces and fragments of our lives that make us feel like and think that brokenness is a bad thing. It's a shameful thing. It's a useless thing. It's an inviolable thing. It serves no purpose, when brokenness actually does. And then another way, while others are taken away from us, sometimes some things are just removed out of our lives, out of our environments. We're moved. We can be moved, okay, to a different environment, a different circumstance, on a different job, a different state, more connections, better connections, resources. It happens, as it should. But we get so caught up on what was and what we did have. We became comfortable with those things. Those things are very familiar to us. And the human side of us, we like the familiar. Even when the familiar is very dysfunctional, uncomfortable, irregular, we seem to like that because we know the outcome of that, what it's going to look like and feel like, but we're not comfortable in that comfort. We're actually uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Okay. So, and this is a thing about brokenness as well, and we can't get comfortable in being broken because we've become used to all this other things and dysfunction of what we've been used to, or perhaps what did work, but it no longer is needed because the time was served, because we're moving on. Okay. So I want to challenge you. Brokenness is about making room for what's needed most in this hour, in the state of our being. Okay, that's what brokenness is. And let me go a little bit further. So, have you ever considered making room? Well, making room for what? Well, making room for what you may not know, or perhaps what you do know but you forgot. Because you didn't maybe write it down, or maybe there's life just been happening and you put it on the back burner. But brokenness is about making room, okay? Making room for right now. Because there are some things that are ready to take place right now as we make room. Just like I'm before you live this morning, I had to make room and give room for that. And it didn't just start with me coming on this live right here as you see me. No, I began I've been making room. But for today, it began even yesterday. As far as, okay, what is it, Lord, you want me to talk about? Because I don't want to just get on here talking about anything. What is it that the people need to hear, and that I need to hear as well, and that I've gone through, that I can express what you brought me through? And perhaps you can relate to me. I hope you can, because I hope I'm not just speaking in the midst and in the midair. I hope I'm speaking to someone that can testify of what I'm sharing with you, and it resonates with you. And it's going to give you enlightenment and a better understanding. And so with that being said, making room for right now. And not only making room for right now, it's making room for what lies ahead. We understand life as we live it. We live life and we go through life, but we understand it as we lived it when we look back on it. Okay. And some of you may have heard that phrase, but we understand it better by and by. Okay. And so I don't want to wait till the by and by come for me to be able to understand right now. I don't want to wait to get to tomorrow and understand what I missed because I didn't do yesterday, or maybe an hour before then. So preparation is everything. And what we don't want to do is allow ourselves, others, situations, or people to make us feel like we don't understand or cannot get on the same page and get with the program of what we need to do right now as we're making room for what's next. So like yesterday, I had to give room and make room and allow out some time to prepare. And how we prepare is individually based and needed. But God will show you that. So how you prepare, you may not prepare like me. And guess what? How I prepare today, I may not prepare that way next year, next week, or what have you. That's me continuously learning how to make room and give room, which is something that we all must do. Because again, if you go back, if you're just now tuning in and listen in, I give you key points and elements on why we need to make room, okay? Time served. We don't need to take it any further. It did its due diligence. We did our due diligence. So now it's time to move on to something else. And sometimes, hear me when I say this, moving on, it can be hurtful. There could be sorrow involved. There could be longing involved. But I tell you what, if you learn the nature of why you need to, it'll get better. Time, it heals. Time heals. If we allow time to work on our side and in our favor, you will get better and understand better by and by. You will. And the pain or the longing or the missing or the hurt, the misunderstanding, all that will you will learn from those things and you will grow. Because this is part of purpose. We got to grow in purpose to understand and be able to function in our true purpose. We got to take what we've got, what we've learned, what we've gone through, and then learn how to apply it to right now so that it can work for our good for next, for what's next, for later. And even right now, okay? So making room for right now and making room for what lies ahead. So as we're making room, we are really aligning ourselves for purpose and even greater purpose. So, because some of you've been walking in your purpose. And then some of you, guess what? There's greater purpose ahead for you. And guess what? God is all about purpose. Because let's go back to Proverbs 19 and 21. Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that will prevail. And that's where we want his purpose. So I want you to think of it this way. Your journey matters as much as your destination. Let me say that again. Your journey matters as much as your destination. So how you go through the process and where you land from that process, that matters. So not only do you need to look ahead for the destination, because sometimes we can get ahead of ourselves and we want to get there. We want to be there. We want to have that accomplished and out the way. But guess what? If we're so focused on that end goal, we're not paying attention to how we're going through it. Because that go through is relevant. How we go through anything and everything, it says a lot about where we do land. And then too, if we keep that in notion and in mind, we're going to end where we need to be, right where we need to be, and even further. Because remember I said, sometimes we can be exonerated, or we can go past, we don't have to serve time, that time served, because we did well. Okay, so the journey matters as much as your destination. We're talking about making room today, okay? Because none of us in our brokenness needs to feel like we are useless or not viable, okay? So you should focus more on your arrival and better yet, how you arrive, aka your process, okay? Because there's a process. A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, whatever. We can't skip from 1 to 10. No, we got to make sure it's all aligned. Just like you bake a cake. You don't put the eggs in there. You don't put the oil in there. You don't stir it up really good or use a blender. Guess what? When you bake it, and if you don't bake it at the right temperature, you're not going to get the end result of what you desire. It's not going to taste the same. It's not going to look the same. You can't even present it. So if we don't allow the temperatures to rise in us, the discarding of things that needs to be shattered from us, if we don't stay in the process and honor and recognize that journey, the process, then when it's come times for presentation, it won't be us. It'll be someone else who was that one waiting, doing things, and unexpectedly was called forth. But that can be you and that can be me. None of us, it is not a desire for any of us to be left behind, nor to not be included in our purpose and plan, in which Proverbs 19:21 speaks about, Jeremiah 29:11 speaks about. But we have to learn how to adhere to what God says in Isaiah 43 chapter 43 verse 18. Remember not the former things, and consider not the things of old. So while we're focusing, if we focus on what we're trying to move away, what God is trying to move and desire for us to move away from in our brokenness, we're thinking about the things of former days. We're considering the things of old. Therefore, we're not making room for the new, which verse 19 talks about, behold, all things become new. New thing that God has designed. So in the brokenness, it's a build up of what's anew and what we're ready for and need to position ourselves for to get ready to the next, okay? So if you're really frustrated regarding your process and journey, are you rushing it? Or are you lagging behind? Or have you grown intimidated in some way? Okay? And so these are questions you must sit with and ask yourselves. And then why? Why? At what point? What caused me? What hindered me? Who hindered me? Or did I hinder me? And if I did, how did that happen? When you sit in a place of where you really want to get understanding and enlightenment, it'll come. You'll get the answers you need. And the answers when you want them, regardless if you want to hear it or not, you're going to receive it. So when you get to that place and that point, you will know what happened, when it happened, and then how to correct that. And not only that, it will build you up and prepare you the next time that same snare, same trap, same situations, or it may be a different, but has a similarity in its appearance. You'll understand, oh, I see you. Oh, I've been there before, and this is what I'm going to do. I won't sit in a place of feeling like where I'm at right now in my brokenness, I'm not being built up. I'm not being equipped. I'm not being edifying for God's glory and for what he desires to do within me in the giftings, the calling, and being chosen and the purpose in which he has for me, which is his plan. Not to harm me, but a good future of hope and his desire and his will that is now my will to be perfected. Because this brokenness is about perfecting. No, we're not perfect. But as we are perfected, there are same cycles and same things we don't have to keep repeating. We don't have to keep looking at those same mountains. We don't have to keep going through those same valleys. Will we have more? Yeah, we will, because this is life. But it won't be where we have to keep repeating certain things, okay? So with that being said, are you rushing it? Have you grown intimidated in some way? These are questions that you got to sit with and ask yourself, and then why? What grew you towards being frustrated or intimidated? Ready to give in or rushing your process, okay? Remember, your destination, it depends upon your journey, which is your process. So, your brokenness, and you feeling, okay? Your brokenness and you feeling useless. Let's talk about that. It is a point to where you've come to the end of yourselves. That's what brokenness is. We don't look at it that way. We've come to the end of ourselves, okay? But here's what that means. Instead of making you feel like you are useless, you are not viable, when you come to the end of yourselves, which is right where God needs you, as long as we remain in the way, we can never see that Proverbs 19:21. So coming to the end of ourselves is meaning, okay, God, here's where I know and I need to trust you. Here's where I've got to rely on what you know best, which is higher and more knowledgeable than I could ever think and or imagine. So I'm going to trust in the process that you have for me and understand that right now you're building me and you're equipping me, and the things that was of yesterday is no longer needed for today. So therefore, there has to be some things that shed off of me, that has to be shattered, that has to be a belief system that I no longer need or never did need, but you're dealing with that and you want to deal with that correctly and properly in your timing. And I trust in how you're going to do it, because your timing and your ways are perfect, right? So which is where our true journey, it begins and it starts in God, in him, okay? The end of ourselves, but in the beginning of him. And listen, not only will you be here today or tomorrow or next week or next month or next year or next season, what have you, We're going to always hit those junctures. This is why we got to start looking at the brokenness. When God says, okay, he or she is ready. They're ready. They're ready. And our readiness is what prepares us to be ready for the next. So they're ready to go ahead and move forward. God's not going to put you somewhere where his grace is not going to take you there. Understand that. Whatever he has ready, positioned for you, you, my friend, you, my dear, you, my brother, you're ready to go there. Okay? Don't discredit yourself. The imposter syndrome. Because I tell you what, you lying that long enough, you'll give up on everything that God has built you up and encouraged you and worked you in and towards. Okay? So the brokenness, it's not set up and designed to work against you. It's set up to work for you. So there is no need to try and rationalize a road or path or journey that is less traveled. So what that means is, in your brokenness, God is setting you up for a path, a journey that has not yet to be traveled. It don't matter about what somebody else done travel. We talking about your path, the path that God has for you, the plan that he has for you. So you're in the brokenness. There is no need to try to rationalize a road or path or journey that is less traveled, because you've yet to get on it. But God say they're ready. Now let me prep them. Let me prepare them, because there's going to be some gravel. There's going to be some stones. There's going to be some rocks. There's going to be some weeds. There's going to be some tumbles. They may even run into some valleys. They even may run towards some mountains, whatever. But in this brokenness, what I'm going to do in them and for them, to prepare them and prep them and position them, that my grace is going to be sufficient, more than enough to carry you through it, is what we need right now. So yeah, you ain't been on it, but when you do, you're going to get through, okay? But you're going to get through the right way. You're not going to try to harry it. You're not going to try to rush it. You're not going to be frustrated. If you grow weary, God's going to remind you. He's going to quicken you. He's going to sharpen you. You're going to be propelled. Help is going to come along the way. You will not be alone. You will never be alone. Whether somebody's visible there or not, you are never alone. But then God, listen, God is good. How he shows up, when he shows up, and what he desires to do, when he want to do it, because he can do anything he want to do. It's going to be right on time for you, for me, for all of us, so that good and perfect will can be worked out and perfected for not only now, but for the next. But your now weighs heavily on the next. So this is why we cannot be frustrated. This is why we have to begin to do whatever it is that God is calling us to right now. For me in this season, get on the lives, Rosie. Get on the lives. Whenever he tells you, get on the live. So, and maybe you feel like you don't have a platform or you don't have the people or whatever. Yes, you do. Whatever you got, use it. And watch God build and it grow from there. But listen, we want too much when we ain't giving much. To whom much is given, much is and will be required. Right? Right. I'm preaching to myself. I'm encouraging myself. I hope I'm encouraging you as well. To whom much is given, much is required. I can't tell you the times I've started with little, with nothing. With nothing. Seemed like nothing to me, but it was all that God was requiring in that moment. And when I took that nothing that I thought I didn't have, but was everything to God, the exceedingly and the abundantly that began to come forth, the doors that began to open. And right now, because the season he's saying, get on the lives, Rosie. Do this, do that, Rosie. I want you to perfect this, perfect that. Because listen, I'm going to tell you, things that the Holy Spirit has me doing right now, he told me last year, in the early part of this year, okay, preparing me, prepping me. I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to do it. But you want to know why I didn't want to do it? Because I was held up on some of the things that I was doing. And when I say held up, didn't know how it was going to look to let things go, to allow things to drop off, to walk away, to end abruptly. Hear me when I say that. Didn't I speak that earlier in the live? See, this is how, and some things you got to let go of and be okay with that, and don't walk back. Don't go back, because that's part of the process, the journey. While you're in the brokenness, and it don't feel good. It's not pleasant at times. But guess what? We cannot listen to what is appeasing to the eye, to the ears, or to the taste, to the desires of the flesh. We cannot listen to those things because they are totally contradictory and contradiction to what God, what his spirit and our spirit is designed to pull forth and pull out of us, to sharpen us, to tell us, you ready? I have you. You can do this. Because greater is he that is in us than us being in the world and even in ourselves. Try to work things out in ourselves because many are our plans of the man. and they're not necessarily say they're bad, but God said, I got something better for you. I got something good. So I said that to say this. Man, talking about some shedding of some things at the end of last year. Actually, that whole year was a build-up. Can I just be honest? That whole year was a build-up. But towards the end of the year, the season of last year, woo-wee, man, just left and right. Things just coming that had to be dealt with. Could not be put off. And not only dealt with, but Rosie, I need you to do it this way. I need you to do that. Dot your I's, cross the T's, go above and beyond. And see, in this day and time, in this era, nobody wants to go above and beyond and do things. Nobody really wants to do things correctly these days. Let's just be honest. And I'm sure you've seen that or been on the end of it, or it's probably been you that didn't want to do it. Can we just be honest? Y'all know me. Y'all know me. I'm not going to fake and shake nothing. And if I got to fake and shake it, listen, I'm in the wrong, I'm in the wrong area. I'm amongst the wrong crowd. I'm not where I need to be. I'm not connected. Now that doesn't mean timing, humbleness, humility. Because there's a way that seems right to us, but we speak death. We ain't bringing life. So I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. Okay? Because when I tell you God has done a work on me and still doing a work on me, and Rosie realizes and understands that there is a greater work that needs to be done. Seriously. Because when I can look back over my life and you can too, I can see the goodness of God. And I can see the works of Rosie and my. Child, come away from you and let the goodness of God be perfected in you. And that's what I'm talking about today. So in that state of brokenness, when you feel like the imposter syndrome, some of you may identify with that. Being useless while you feel like you're going through a state of brokenness, not being viable, where you're going to add any difference or bring some substance, or nobody needs to hear what you have to say. The devil is a lie. You have much to say. Because if you've given God your much, to whom much is given, much is required. And if you've given that to him, then there is much that needs to be said. And listen, I don't know of a day and a time where more of what God has to say and do needs to rise up. Because when I tell you the enemy's busy, everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, even in your homes, in your families, in your communities, on your jobs, in places you have to go and govern yourself. Oh, he busy. He working it out. Because the people are not working out the good and perfect will of God. So listen, I'm saying this to you to say this as I begin to wrap up. You, my friend, you are necessary and you are needed. I don't care what you bring. As long as it's what God tells you to bring, that matters most to me, to this world, to you, and to everybody that you will be called and connected to and purpose for within your purpose. Okay? So stop telling yourself that you are useless, that you are not valuable, that you showing up as an imposter. You're not who you say you are, because you are who God says you are. And when you show up that way, all is good and all will be well. And you may not see that goodness, so you think, until a later time. But guess what? That's part of the process. So just show up. Show up in the best way that you can. You tell God, I ain't got nothing, but you got everything. And if we're going to do it, God, I ain't doing it without you. I ain't leaving without you. Lord, I expect, I expect, God, for you to show up. Less of me and more of you. Okay? All right. So there's no need to try to rationalize a road or path or journey that's less traveled, which simply means we're at the end of us. We are at the end of us, yet at the beginning of God, of his grace and his refinement of the Lord, his perfect path for us. We must align to understand the assignments of God, and we are right where God needs us to be. So I'm going to leave you with this before I make a couple of announcements just to end out this video. Your journey matters as much as your destination. Please, if that's the only thing you take away, which I hope you take away, everything that God has for you to take away and needs for you to take away, your journey matters as much as your destination. And right now, you may be in a journey of being broken. All that means is there's refinement going on, realignment going on, or some adjustments going on, which is needed for right now, for the next. And it's going to work for your good. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. It'll work for your good. So don't compare your journey and don't get frustrated while being in the process. God needs you in. He needs you there. You need to be there. Your family needs you there. If you're married, your spouse needs you there. If you're in a ministry needs you there. Because how can we continue to move forward and go forward if we're not growing? If we're not being cultivated? If things are not being torn down, shattered, that needs to be redefined and realigned and repurposed, that needs to be? How can we truly allow God's goodness to show up in us, to reign for others in their lives, to help them transition from where they're at to where God wants them to be, to where they needs to be, if we are not setting those examples? And when I say we, those who are in positions of leadership, of authority, where you're doing more because you were found doing what you were supposed to do. Look, none of us is just discredited, but we're all at different levels. And sometimes people, you can get frustrated because you may see other people at different levels. But here's what I want to tell you. You don't know the cost. You don't know the oil. You don't know what they had to go through. You don't know what they lost. You don't know what they suffered. You don't know the hands of the abuser that they may have been up under. You don't know the hell that they went through. But better than that, you shouldn't have to know for you to understand. If God has purposed a thing in somebody, let God be great. But if he can do it for them, he can do it for you, for me, all of us. It may not look the same. It may not be designed the same way. And that's okay, because God did not create us to be like one another. He created us in his image. So it is his image that we need to portray. And that's something that I'm working on in this hour, this season. Rosie, don't you show up. Rosie, you don't need to show up. Let's let God show up. So God, what does that look like? Number one, what does it feel like? How does it flow? How does it move? In what being, what state, what posture, what position, all of that. And how will I know that if I don't get to know the one that created me in his image in the way that he needs Rosie to? Not to compare myself or compare my life, nor adjust myself or adjust my life to what people think, what I want, what the people want, what the world wants. It's so much going on, but all we can worry about is what we need to have going on in our lives, that we make the difference and show up different. So you're not an imposter. Your brokenness is beauty. Let those ashes turn into beauty. Let the shattered pieces, the missing pieces that need to be missing, need to be discarded, where God can contribute and affix you. And fix you, continue to fashion you and design you in this hour with the elements that he knows that only you need. And he knows how you need them. So, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this portion here. But I hope I've said and shared something with you all that has tremendously helped you all, okay? And blessed you and encouraged you to look at the state where you're at, which you're in brokenness, you're being broken, humbled, okay? So that things can be added to you where it's needed for right now and that to come. Again, my name is Rosie Thompson, and I'm the owner of RKT Life Purpose Coaching. I do content creation as well. And I'm a self-published author. I have 4 amazing books. Those are on my site as well. I'm available for speaking engagements. I do life coaching, one-on-one and group sessions as well. If you visit the website, you'll be able to see all that. But I want to announce and share with you all this week I am having a special on 2 of my books, okay? Which is Movers, Shakers, and Standbyers, and then serial repeat offender victims, okay? So what the special is, and if you go on my site, you will see it, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the comment in this live as well, is that you buy one and you get one free. So it doesn't matter if you buy this one, you get this for free, buy this one, you get this for free. But on the free book, you will have to pay for the shipping and handling charges, okay, which is going to be $5. So the book itself, either one of them, is $10. And then there's a $5 shipping and handling for that particular book. But now the free book, it's free, but you will have to pay the $5 shipping and handling on that book. So total together, both of them will be $20, which includes both books, the free one, both books along with the shipping and handling. They can only be shipped to one address in the United States only, okay? And I will put the information in my comment section. You can go on my page, you'll see it. The Cash App that it'll be that you pay for is $RKT-LIFE purpose. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to put it in the comment section, because sometimes, you know, these different sites, they don't allow you to put in RKT Life Purpose Coaching or, you know, Life Purpose Coaching. They don't allow you to do all that. So listen, I'm 52 and fabulous, praise the Lord, you know, so me trying to keep up with all these things, praise the Lord, I do the best that I can. I really do. But I don't quote me on that. But hear me when I say this. In the comment section, on the comment line of Cash App, you will need to put BKS, which is abbreviated for books. And then also, I need you to put in a complete mailing address, your completed mailing address where you want to receive it. It could be 123 Lane Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73169. Completed address, okay? And hopefully your Cash App name has your name, okay? Now, if it doesn't, if you could squeeze your name in there, or Thompson, you know, something like that, I don't know. You know, try to figure that out. But the main thing, if you want to receive them, $20 total Cash App, okay? $10 for the book, either one of them, and then $5 for that book that you want is for shipping and handling, and then your free book is free. You do not have to pay the $5. I'm sorry, you do have to pay the $5 for shipping and handling on that second book, okay? So you get the book free, but you got to cover the shipping and handling charge. So together, $20 total for 2 amazing books. Amazing reads, really seriously. You can go on my page, you'll see some of the testimonies from the books as well. So I will add that to the comment section as well. My books are available, Barnes and Nobles, .com, and in the Norman, Oklahoma City store, as well as Amazon.com. Amazon.com. You can get all of my books on Amazon.com, okay? And then this is the other one I wanted to shout out as well. This is the children's book, Movers, Shakers, and Standbys for little boys and girls all across America. You can get this book at Barnes and Nobles, the hardback, which is just like this one. This is where this one was ordered from. Very colorful. Just kind of give you a little brief insert of what the books look like. It's very inspirational, motivational, and you can get this on Barnes and Noble site in the hardback for just $12.26. I'm not making a profit from this. I want to make sure it could get in the hands of every child that needed it. If you have a grandchild, you know a child that could use some inspiration, please get this book for them. Or you can go to Amazon.com and you can get this by ebook, okay, which means that it can be downloaded on a phone, on a tablet, on a device, whatever. And on there, it's just $10, okay? And each one of my books on both sites, you can get them, the books themselves, $10, or then we have the ebooks as well in these books for $10. And then the last one that I want to tell you about is called God Teach Me to Stay Out of Your Way, Sir. God teach me to stay out of your way, sir. And it talks about the Abraham blessings over household, generationally, and just it's a declaration, a decreeing book, a prophetically praying book. Man, I started out doing it daily, and I kind of slacked off a little bit, but I've gotten back to it daily, especially before I work. before I do things. Okay, I've already been up and I've read that, and it's an amazing material that you need to get your hands on, and it's only on Amazon.com, and it is $10 as well, ebook. Okay, so visit those sites, share the live if it blessed you, share it out. And I have a YouTube channel, like I said, on my website. At the bottom of it, you will see all of the links to my social media sites. Go ahead and click and follow on me on those sites, and leave a message on there following you, and I'll follow you back. Okay, let me know you follow me so I can follow you back and keep you abreast and above on what I do and how I do it. Okay, so you all have an amazing rest of the week, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've been encouraged and inspired and motivated. Bye bye. And this live doesn't want to end. Here we go. Let's see.